All right. Welcome, everybody. Project Dora here. We're going to be going over my song Rigger. Check this out. All right, so for the track breakdown, it's going to be real simple. We'll be going over every single element. I'm going to try to just go over the general things about the song. I'm not going to go too in depth into anything in this video just because I want to let you guys in the comment section decide what else we want to check out basically in this track. First things first, we're going to keep it nice and simple. I'm just going to go over every single group because you're going to be seeing this template a lot. So we're going to start off right here, like I said, with this template. First things first, we got group 1. This could have been renamed drums. We've got a vocal tab here in case there are any vocals that I want to add. In this case, in this song, there are no vocals. The other group here is everything that is being sidechained. And by the way, this sidechain is being triggered by the kick and snare tab here. I'll probably make a video explaining that. But I mean, I don't feel like I really have to, considering that most people know how to sidechain nowadays. And there's a ton of really good videos. If you guys really want to know it, I'm probably gonna either make a video or just link in the video that I used to set up this sidechain. Simple as that. Then we got this drop group here. Could have been renamed to just main synth because this is like the main driving synth of the song. Strangely enough, I didn't like it sidechained in this song, so that's kind of why it's not in the everything sidechain tab. And there's a fly in my room. God damn. Okay, so I apologize for that. Okay, well, the other tab, we've got free effects. This is basically effects that are free of the sidechain, hence free effects, free of the sidechain. And then down here we have all the ear candy stuff. So vinyl, a little fax machine sample that I've got in the beginning. So you've most likely heard the song, so I'm not going to go over the song already and have you listen to it through and through. It is like at least 4 minutes long. Okay, so let's just get into it. First things first, we'll go to the crunchy part, the main synth. So what's interesting about this main synth, now I do apologize, I don't have the exact patch that I used in the song, just because I tried making different versions of the song for like trailers and such, and I changed some of the sound design just to make it sound similar but different, which is why in this project for some reason I lost the main exact patch, but it's very, very, very similar. It's the same process. There are some things that I'm just going to explain that I don't need to have you listen to it for me to explain it to you. So the main synth is this Serum right here. You'll see I abuse Serum. Serum is my favorite synthesizer for many reasons, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. At this point, it's probably a little cringe because, I mean, shit, everyone uses Serum nowadays. But nice and simple, Bottle Blow. Bottle Blow is in the digital tab. It's a stock wavetable that you can use. Yeah, everyone who's bought Serum, you should have this. So it's basically one oscillator with a filter and a noise sample. I took the noise sample out here. I tried to find the original noise sample that I used. I'm gonna go over this in a little bit. Oscillator A, I've got LFO1 controlling the position to give it a little bit more of a natural tone. Make sure that, you know, it's not like stagnant sound. It's a sound that always moves and it evolves. So if we were to listen to this, so LFO1 is just moving around, giving it a little bit of like different textures. I could have made it slower, but I just liked the way it sounded. Then envelope 1 here is just controlling the frequency of the filter. That's all it's doing, and that's just to give it a little bit more shape, keep it nice and tight. And then the really big part here, as you can see, is macro 1. It's controlling 10 parameters. So we're just going to go over those real quickly. Attack, just to make the note hit less hard as we move the knob up, and more decay, so to make the note longer and louder. And then bend minus, sorry, just to give it a little bit more crunch and dirtiness to it. And then if we move over to the effects tab, absolutely nothing too crazy, just hyper dimension here, oops, with a little bit of hyper in the mix, and a little bit of dimension as well. I didn't touch the size at all, I just left it as is. And then we've got distortion here, and then to compensate for the loudness that the distortion gives, I'm making the compressor work a little bit more, and that's why there's 4 more settings here being controlled in the compressor. So obviously multiband, so OTT, it's pushing up the gain, it's pushing up the release, so making it tighter, and then also compressing it more, moving up the ratio so it gets compressed even more, and then bringing down the threshold. So that way it's kind of like a cool little technique I found that, you know, because of the distortion and the decay down here, the note gets really, really, really loud. And in the drop, I'm automating a lot of this, so to keep it somewhat at the same level. And volume-wise, I've got a compressor here just doing a little bit of work. That's all it is. So there you go. Nice and simple. Now before we get into the effects chain, the last thing is the noise sample. So basically what I like to do, I can make a video showing you how to do this and going a little bit more in depth into it. But basically in the noise sample, if you move up here and you go to show Serum preset folder, you click on that, there should be a folder for the noise samples. And if you go into that, you can basically drag and drop any noise sample that you like. I like going through Splice and things like that, getting one-shot samples of all sorts of different instruments and just sliding them into this. That way, you know, it makes for nice and easy, cool little textures that you can add on top of your digital synthesizer, which is really, really cool. And then, of course, do not forget to, if you've got a really strong filter effect, like in this one, make sure that your noise sample is also going through this filter. And that's about it for everything that's going on in the Serum. So if I were to take everything off of it, this is what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds cool, but here's when all the magic happens. This is one of my favorite techniques. Instead of duplicating the actual Serum and getting multiple tracks of the Serum and having it be even more CPU intensive than it is right now. I mean, granted, I'm recording using OBS, makes it everything even worse in terms of CPU usage. But yeah, to sort of limit that, what I do is I grab an audio effect rack, click this little knob here, and this little window will pop up. And then here's where you can add different chains. Right click, create chain, and that'll just duplicate the signal. And then you can kind of do your layering that way. So the first one is dry. The second one is just a comb filter that I added through Serum Effects that I am then EQing, keeping only the mids, and then putting an OTT on there, of course. Very heavy OTT action here. If I were to solo that, that's what this sounds like. Oof. Then the third one is a little altar boy, which I'm just doing the formant all the way down, drive, and that's like the really crunchy part of the sound. Sounds absolutely disgusting, but you add everything together, it's beautiful. And then of course OTT to bring all that together, and an EQ. Simple as that, nothing too crazy going on here. It's pretty cool. This audio effect rack is really what's spicing up the sound, and you'll see I do this a lot in a lot of my songs, and a lot of my sound design requires this sort of thing happening. So beyond that, here we've got a Labs. If you don't know what Labs is, it's kind of like a synthesizer, free one that you can go get. If you don't have this, you're definitely sleeping on it, and you should go get it. There's a ton of different instruments that you can choose from, like absolutely a ton. These are all like live recorded instruments. They are awesome, and in this case I picked the strings that were short, and sounds like this. Very quiet, but they're just in there to add a little bit more character, a little bit more character to the sound. And then down here we've got some more Labs that I put in here, just some nice little bells. And then these guys, more strings. That's all it is. And then to add that during the drop, to add a little bit more like texture, I basically grabbed a one-shot piano note from Splice, dragged it into a simpler, and then did my thing where I'm EQing it. Disperser, EQ again, and we get something like this. Almost sounds like a Rhodes, and just added that in there for extra tonality. And then yeah, if we move over to the second drop, because all the rest here is just variants of that, right? It's just these little sounds from labs that I'm processing differently, excerpts of the main sound here with all sorts of different versions of the synth that I'm working on and just pitching up and down. And yeah, and then obviously the reverse notes. If you don't have any of these in your song, this is a great time to start doing this, okay? Because this stuff is magical. It just adds good tone and cool like little effects that you can put on your track. Now moving on to the second drop, this one is not really important. It's just a little ARP. Nothing too crazy. Literally all in Serum. LFO2 controlling the decay, making it longer, just giving it, a little bit of movement. Now the second drop, this is where this gets interesting. So I grabbed, so a one shot of a Virtual Riot synth here. It's a music box. EQ'd it. Did my little trick with the audio effect rack again, with a little altar boy pitching it down and distorting the living crap out of it. And to kind of tame that, I grabbed an auto filter, automated it, as you can see, to give it a little bit more shape. Disperser to give it a weird tone. EQ'd it. Added a ton of reduced ambience. Sometimes when you're in the process of sound designing and you're trying to come up with new sounds, you'll see that you can get in some weird areas where it doesn't completely make sense. But in this case, I felt like it was a good idea to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reduce ambience instances, and that's it. And then OTT'd it. And then yeah, bounced it out, and I think I pitched it down a whole octave, and we got this little guy. That's it. And for this one, what I did is, since I bounced it out, I grabbed an altar boy again, just distorted it some more, and then on the other one, put it through some reverb and pitched it up and distorted it some more. Disperser again, love this plugin, and then OTT, and some more EQs. That's it. That's about it for this song, for this main sound. Basically, there's nothing else that's really worth looking at for this main sound. I mean, everything is really there. I just showed you everything that there is to be shown, and that's about it. All right, so moving on, we've got the drums that I wanted to look at. Okay, so the drums here. First of all, you notice that they're in a group. Like I said earlier, they're just in a group to make some transition effects. So I grab an audio effect rack, make any sort of chain to make it sound different than it usually does, and then just put that in and out in some places. Like right here, it doesn't have to be there. That's a mistake. But for any like transition, like here, it goes from that's it. And same thing here before the drop. That's it. Nothing too crazy. But I guess the big takeaway of these drums here is layers upon layers upon layers, right? So there's a lot of cool things that I like to do. I like to grab real hi-hats like this, and then layer them with fake hats. Even more fake hats. And these cool like little. And then to create a call and response with this sample here and this one here, I grabbed another one shot and just wrote a MIDI for it. So it goes like this. That's about it. And then some claps, and then some more like little, you know, like extra fill, I guess, percussions. So. All right. Okay. And that's about it. I mean, really, I just added lots and lots of layers and just try to make it interesting drum wise. One cool trick I like to use with the drums, I think I put it in here. Where did I? Okay, yeah, it's on the group. So I've got this cool little thing that I like to do, again, with the audio effect rack. So I've got the dry chain here that sounds like this. Oops. And then over that, I add this little layer, which is just an altar boy that I'm pitching it down, EQing it, adding all that together. That sounds nice. Glue compressors. This is just to add a little bit more punch, compress it a tiny bit. A friend showed me this, and I was showing him this song, and he just slapped this on, and he was like, yo, just do this on your drums. It makes them sound a little tighter. It's slightly more punchy, makes it slightly more, maybe less dynamic, but have like more transient and more like punch to it. So any quieter elements, just bring back up a little bit, and then that's it. It's very subtle. It's nothing too crazy. It's not necessarily, you don't have to put 2 glue compressors like this. You can just put like one of them on there. Moving on, I have this cool little Quanta thing here. You're going to be seeing a lot of this plugin as well. It's a granular synth. It's really good. It's really powerful. It's really awesome. It's something kind of cool. It's something that you can just like sort of, you can go free for all with it. It's really good at making pads and drones. That's what it's really good at, and it's mainly what I use it for. And it's so good that it can literally create a pad or a drone out of anything within like 10 seconds. Like that's how good this is. And that's what happened here. And I have 2 layers of it here. So this one, which I grabbed a vocal, just picked a note, area that I like, added some grain, some random length, random, and that was it for that. Just EQ'd it because on top of it I've got this, which is literally just like noise. That's all it is. But it just sounds nice in the mix there. I could have done maybe a little bit of a better job at EQing this and fitting it tighter in the mix, but I mean, quick as it is like that, it just sounds nice and it's awesome. Now I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of questions about this whole region here. We're not gonna listen to it, but we're gonna look at it because the CPU is not liking this at all. Okay, so we've got some more instances of Quanta, again with the auto effect rack, where I'm just distorting the crap out of it, pitching it down and up over here. Yep, just pitching it down and up, that's all it is. And then just like some just some weird things like that, simple serums that we could probably go over some other time. Next we got the sub. The most interesting thing about this sub, and this is a sub I've been using a lot. Now, granted, I don't really care if you guys start using this. You're gonna have to invest a little bit, because first you need Serum, and then second you need the Impusher. Impusher is such a good plugin for subs, okay? It just sounds too good. So if we look at the Serum patch, it's a sub, of course. We've got Sawtooth Wave, random, and I picked the phase point exactly where I thought it sounded the best. Grabbed a low pass and just brought that shit down. Distorted it a little bit, and then just to make it louder and crunchier, I guess, I grabbed multiband, dropped the release all the way down, grabbed the ratio all the way down, and just picked a sweet spot with the threshold of the compressor. And then that was it for that. And then externally, We've got the EQ, of course, which we're bumping a little bit at 38 hertz, and then just the I'm pusher. You can pick your notes here that it's going to try to target. In this case, it was C because the song is in C. I typically just leave it at C, depending, like, doesn't really bother me in what key the track is. I'll just go for C because, in my opinion, it just sounds better. And then we've got the body knob as well, all just dimed. And then I didn't even touch the clipper here. I just left it at 0 because the output is going to be controlled by the volume, and that's literally it for the sub. All there is to it. I've been trying to find perfect subs for the longest time, and for long note subs, this is by far the best one I've found and that I've come across, and it's dead simple too. Then this little layer is just kind of like a respace that I made here, where I've got the LFO1 opening and closing, with a little bit of FM on Monster 2, distortion phaser, EQ, compressor, with the same sort of tactic as my sub here. Just ratio all the way down, threshold, you find a sweet spot that you like, and that's it. That's all there is to it. EQ'd it, OTT'd, more EQs, more EQs. Oh, and by the way, you're going to see this on almost every one of my tracks, in all of these like little tracks here. I'll go over that in another video. These are just like audio effect racks, like macros, racks that I've made over time that I just enjoy, that I use them for transitions. We can make a whole separate video on that. It doesn't really matter. It's nothing too crazy. And then, yeah, the last thing that I really wanted to go over, second to the last thing that I wanted to touch on is this riser, basically. So this whole track kind of revolved around the main synth getting louder, longer, crazier, just a big long build with no drums, and it needed a very long riser. And this is a good example of what I do in a lot of my songs. So I'll create a riser in Serum. We could do a more in-depth guide on this maybe someday if it really interests you guys, but it's really nothing too crazy. I'm pretty sure you can find some really cool Serum tutorials that show you how to do these. There's just, what's fun about risers is that you can just put as many effects as you want, go crazy with it. In this case, it's rather simple. There's nothing too like, oh my god, what the heck is going on? It's really just bare bones riser. But the main takeaway from this is that sometimes you're too lazy to make a riser, and then you, like in this case, you add more risers. What I would recommend that you do every time is that you do create your own riser, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a good riser that has, that, you know, that is good, that sounds good. And then from there, you can add as many different risers as you want. You don't have to worry too much about stretching them and having them sound weird, because you've got your main riser under here that just sounds good. That's it. And then from there, you know, like I said, just adding a ton of risers, as many as you want. Ones that you've made, ones that other people have made. Like in my case here, this one I made. These three I added them in there. It's Virtual Riot and Kashmir, and that's basically it. And then just some more impacts and chimes, whatever little magic that you want to add to your song. And that's it for the riser. Now, again, if you want me to go over how I made that riser in the song, just hit me up in the comment section, send me DMs on Instagram, whatever, doesn't matter. We'll go over it if y'all want to learn how to make risers like in Rigger. All right, and I guess the last thing that we want to touch on here before we wrap this up is the mastering. Now, I know that this is not textbook mastering, right? So a lot of people are going to look at this, especially if you are a mastering engineer, you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? But in my case, I found that most of the time, if you've got a good mix down, all you want to do with your track and your mastering is just make it louder. And what's a better way to make things louder without ruining the audio quality of it would be soft clippers. Soft clippers and a good job at EQing, which is why I've got Ozone here and several. Ozone's got several EQs on it, but I've got another EQ here just to do some more, and then G-Clip, which is a soft clipper, and Glue Compressor that has the soft clip mode engaged. Anything beyond that is just things to analyze my audio and to send it to my streaming program. So there you go. Now let's look at the Ozone real quick, because there's something interesting in here that I want to touch on. So I've got a brick wall high pass EQ on this. I recommend everybody does this because sounds below 20 hertz you never really hear, right? You don't hear them, but if you start playing them in loud sound systems, there's just going to be like this weird rumble underneath your track that's going to sound weird, and it kind of can fuck up a lot of like the impact and the tightness of your sub, especially if you're kind of like OCD about your subs like me and you want them to gel perfectly in the song. This sort of stuff is really important. Now, if you've done a good job of EQing and mixing your track, this shouldn't be too much of an issue. But I still put it on there just to be extra safe, and it's also something that I really like, how it just touches up the track, makes the low end slightly tighter, and makes it sound better for some reason. Don't tell me, like, I can't tell you. It just sounds better. And then a dip here at like 300 hertz to make it less muddy, and then some bass boost on the dynamic EQ, some more frequency boosts here. Nothing too crazy. This is just cool because when the song plays, it reacts to the song. Simple as that. And now if you go out of Ozone, you've got EQ8, where I've just did a little slope here at 171 hertz. And then G-Clip and the Glue Compressor, which are just boosting up the dB levels. And that's about it. That's about it. And I've got it in a group here because I usually just grab this and slap it onto tracks. It's actually part of my template. So I just open my project and it's already in there. And then once I'm done with the track and I'm really starting to dig through maybe some of the mistakes, I start tweaking the settings a little bit. So every song, these settings are all going to be a little bit different, just because that's really all you need to master an electronic track. Like, you just want to make it louder and make it sound a little bit cleaner through EQing it. That's it. Nothing else. I mean, you could really start getting nerdy with it and like start, wondering about phase issues, but I mean, we can do a completely separate video on that as well. But to keep it nice and simple today, that's really all you need. Is stuff to make it louder and EQs to make it sound a little cleaner. That's it. Get rid of some of the muddiness, some of the high-end frequencies that might be a little annoying, and that's it. You don't need to overthink it. Don't overthink shit. Shout out Kenny Beats. And yeah, that's about it for the song, guys. I mean, if there's anything else in here that I mean, there's a lot of things that I just went over super briefly, super quickly. But if there's stuff that you specifically want me to look at, do a more in-depth like video on, just let me know. I'll go ahead, record a video. And yeah, on that note, deuces. Y'all have a good day.